What? What happened? What happened?
I don't know. It cut off for a minute. Are you on?
Yeah.
Right. So it should work. All right. Let's do this. Let me triple check that everything is working correctly.
Let me see we're live from my let me see my phone if we're live.
Still not streaming correctly to.
Okay, we're live on WhatsApp.
Good.
Okay. Fuck, bro. Sorry. Oh shit.
I don't know how to. Here, we need to share the link. I'm hearing an echo. Where is it playing? Is it? Dude, I think it's playing on your end, man. I think you have an echo on your end.
But hold on. Why? Oh, right here.
We need to fix that before we share.
How do I have an echo?
Still think there's an echo. Yeah, there's something on your end.
Can you check your end, please, as well?
What?
Can you think of what it could possibly be? Your end, please, as well.
No, it's not on my end.
I don't know what it could possibly be, bro. I don't have any. I don't have any Blockcircle stuff open on my computer. This is the only tab I've opened. Is the Riverside tab. Well, that's my phone. Is that it? Gone now? No.
Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3.
No, it's not on my phone.
Okay, let me figure this out. 1 second. I'm going to mute you for a minute while I try to just test it. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing if there's an echo. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing if there's an echo. See, what does that sound? You can hear that, right?
Yeah. Well, let me just mute my mic for a second. See if it stops. It does it. Okay. Right, I'm gonna mute it. Okay. I'm gonna mute it in 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Let me just mute my mic for a second. See if it stops. It does it. Okay. Right, I'm gonna mute it. Okay. I'm gonna mute it in 1, 2, 3.
don't know where it's playing from. But at least I know where it's playing from. It's streaming perfectly, but it's just keeps having this echo.
I'm going to leave the call entirely, and you stay on, okay?
Okay. Okay. Is there still an echo? I'm just waiting for everybody to join. Yeah, this. All right. Let's see what questions we've got. Don't have. Okay, here we go. I'm looking, but what are the top 3 or 4 rows in the
Basil, there's no echo
momentum scorecard that you focus on daily? Also, for the momentum multi-time frame momentum scorecard, can you walk through the extreme zones and zero line parts? For the global liquidity scorecard, you walk through the short-term liquidity metrics you recently added. Would value listening to your thought process. Wait.
Can you hear me, Basil? I'm back.
Yeah, but I think there's an echo. That's what I just messaged you.
Yeah, but is it still there? I think it's gone. I don't hear any echo anymore.
Can you just please check if there is an echo on the actual stream, or is it just on my end?
Hold on, there's people online, they'll tell us.
If someone has been under our rock, best place to catch and use AMS and other new tools, setting up TradingView tools. Yes, I'll go through all these questions.
Yeah. Are you seeing the public chat, Basil? There's two or three people already in there. He says there's no echo.
No. I'm not. This is the first time that I'm using this particular multicasting streaming tool.
Okay, so go to the Riverside and just go to chat in the bottom right corner.
Oh, here.
Yeah.
I can't, when I click it, there's nothing. Is there still an echo? He said, no, it's gone.
Yeah, that's us.
Why is there an echo on my end? That's the screen.
Because it's clearly playing somewhere, but it's clearly playing somewhere else then on your computer or one of your devices. It's clearly streaming. It must be streaming somewhere.
Figure out. Okay. Wonder if it's the Telegram streaming that's causing the problem.
But if you're streaming on Telegram on your computer while we're live, that's causing it, yeah. You shouldn't be streaming anywhere while we're live, otherwise it'll cause the echo. Oh no, sorry, you're saying you're saying that that the Telegram is streaming separately to Riverside? No,
Yeah, but why?
there's obviously a lag somewhere.
Okay, wait. Is it gone now? Can you
You can
talk?
barely hear it. I can hear it a tiny bit,
No, you
but
see, I think it's gone.
yeah, you can hear it a tiny bit.
It's gone. Oh my God, the voice in my head has finally disappeared. No, it was definite. Dude, you gotta mute that. It's, you know what the problem is? Is the it was the Telegram streaming. Oh my God, that was crazy.
Does that mean you're not on Telegram now?
Why is Shay asking, do one of us have a submarine in the room? Is that what we sound like?
A submarine? No, I don't. Does anyone else have that?
I don't know. I don't know what the solution is though, because
Well,
you
let's
can't
just
stream
ask people. Are we?
you can't stream to Telegram.
Ask Shay where he's streaming from. What channel he's? Shay, what channel are you watching us on?
Can you all hear us crystal clear?
Oh, you're double posting for some reason.
Oh no, it's probably because it's going through to YouTube and to X and to all the different.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you see? It's perfect.
Yeah.
Love that.
Awesome.
Now what's, oh, you can add individual mark clips as well. No, but can he hear us? Can he hear us good?
Shay, is that Shay Chest? Shay, is that you Chester Chest Stafford?
Stafford. No
She
echo
says
now.
that's it.
Okay, bro.
Shay Stafford.
Okay, City just responded back. Sound is all good. All right, let me get started here. Let me just quickly answer these questions, and I can quickly give like an overview. But for me, I would say the first thing that's very important from what I'm looking at is when I look at Bitcoin as a whole, you could see that we finally have broken a 3-month bloody downtrend, right? And then that all began on December 22nd. So then what I love about that is we had a breakout. And then let me change this to the actual demonstration mode. So we had this breakout, and then we had the successful retest, and then we had a continuation, which is exactly what I want to see, right? It's exactly what I wanted to see. And then the other thing that's very important to remember too is that when you look at the Altcoin market scorecard, which is the best way to get an idea on whether or not you should be bullish or bearish towards altcoins, and it's just derived from our own algorithm, using our own calculations. Essentially, what it's doing is it's just telling you whether or not the 1 day, the 1 week, and the 1 month are bullish or bearish towards altcoins. What kind of strength do they have? And let me just make it larger so everyone can actually see the numbers. So, and then what we'll do, maybe Connor, is we can go through questions. Once I go through these questions, I'll do a quick overview. Right now on the 1 day, it's neutral, but the 1 week is still considered very bullish, right? So the last week was very bullish, and at the first final close, where the altcoin market scorecard was very bullish for the first time in several months. And then now it's still continuing to be very bullish, which is excellent. But on the 1 day, you can see it's finally starting to cool down, right? And you see the blue lines are the altcoin market scores on the 1 day. So that's literally how you use the altcoin market scorecard. You add it as an indicator, you go to invite only, you go to AMS V3, you just click it one time, and then after like a few seconds, it'll be added to your chart. And then what it'll do is automatically, it'll just start showing you this table with the actual scores, and it'll overlay everything on the chart. So that's basically it. And then what I like to do is I like to have the time frames be, I like to just have them be this way by default. So I'll show you what that looks like. So you see, so it gives me the 1 day. So the current 1 day is 49. And then 1 day prior, which was yesterday, was considered bullish, and 2 days prior, which is Sunday, was closed very bullish, right? So now you could see a very clear trend. So it was extremely bullish, but now it's starting to cool down on the 1 day. And then if you change it to the 4 hour, it's going to do the same type of 3 time frame broad view, where it's going to give you the current 4 hour, and then it's going to give you the prior 4 hour, and then the prior 4 hours. It's 8 hours ago. And that's it. That's literally how you use it. So to me, this is incredibly valuable for me personally, because I use it for how I'm navigating everything, how I'm managing my positions. Like if I'm in a long and I'm in profit, then I need to, and the altcoin market scorecard is considered bullish to very bullish, then I'm going to be a little bit looser in terms of my stop losses. And then, but if it's bearish and I'm in a profitable long, then I'm going to be a lot more defensive, a lot more protected. That's how I'm using the altcoin market scorecard. That's what I'm seeing. And then the other thing that's very important to look at is within the altcoin market scorecard, there's a metric called metric 6. This metric 6 is extremely valuable because what this shows you is it shows you the global stablecoin dominance. So how much money is being parked in global stablecoins versus how much money is actually being deployed towards altcoins and towards Bitcoin. So whenever you see metric 6 being weak, that's a very good thing for people who want to have a bullish vibe, because that means more capital is shifting away from being held in stablecoin reserves, and it's actually going out and being dispensed and used, and capitalizing and monetizing the space. But that's why I track metric 6 so closely, because if you see, metric 6 is this one. On the 15-minute, I've been waiting for 6 days for this to finally break out, and we finally have broken out. So we finally had a breakout, and then the beauty of this is we finally had a breakout, and then now we're having a retest. And it looks like the retest so far was successful. So far on the 15-minute. So far it's been retested successfully, which means that that's bearish altcoins in the short term, right? Because this is rising. So again, more capital shifting towards stable coins means the dominance is going to rise, which means that you holding long positions is more of a riskier proposition. That's how I'm using the altcoin market scorecard. And then other thing, really the thing that I love personally too, is I'll go through it, but that's really the main one. Like, Connor, what are some questions, that you have or you think people would have about the altcoin market scorecard and like how to use it, how to leverage it?
I think the biggest question is, I suppose, going through all the individual metrics and just being able to, being able to sort of navigate exactly what each one represents. I think that's the fundamental.
Okay, so for that, what I would do is I would first just make this go through the user guide. So that would be the first thing that I do. Just go to blockcircle.com and then go through the user guides that we wrote up, because these user guides are extremely detailed and they're very helpful in answering a lot of these questions. Right? So it's right here. So it's blockcircle.com/altcoin market scorecard. So this goes through every single component of it step by step. Right? And it walks through every single metric and which ones are the most important. So metrics 1, 3, 6, and 9 are the ones that I personally watch the most. I just talked about metric 6, metric 1, metric 3, metric 9. These are extremely valuable because those really dictate the strength of altcoins, right, in the market. So that's basically that's really how you do it. So, but at a high level, like you have these are the 11 most important metrics that I have determined through years and years of research and analysis to know whether or not we should be bullish or bearish towards altcoins. that works across different time frames, and then you can use it for different confluence factors. If you're noticing that the Altcoin market scorecard score is 100 day after day, then that's a very good time to take profit and de-risk, because that's highly unusual. And this is really good in spotting tops and bottoms. It's really good in spotting when you should be more aggressive and when you should be more risk tolerant versus risk averse. And then the other thing is this whole statistical section is extremely helpful because it shows you how many consecutive bars have been above 60. So 60 is the cutoff for being bullish. Anything above 60 is considered bullish. So if you have like 5 consecutive hours of it being bullish, that's really good. That's really good. If you have seen, but we haven't had any consecutive above 80 in the in this current hour. Last hour we did briefly. And then we have like the Z-score, the score RSI, the rate of change. There's so many other statistical metrics that are below it as well. You just have to reduce the size. If you keep it to normal, you should be able to see the whole scorecard. So just one second. So yeah, so you see the min-max, the median, the standard deviation, the volatility, and then you see exactly how many are bullish, bearish, neutral, etc. So that's how you use it. Then let's go through the global liquidity scorecard. So you go invite only. So this is how you track global liquidity. Let's go
Basil,
through
just one question on that just before.
Yeah.
I think if anyone was feeling, if you go back to the scorecard for just a second, I think if anyone was sort of looking to go, okay, well, I don't have time to really dig deep into this, but I just want to understand, be able to use it quickly to give me a quick sort of update on what the market is like. I think if you were to go, okay, well, I don't completely understand like the score RSI or the rock 5 bars, but I can see, okay, at the bottom the total is 5. The total is clearly bullish, 5 bullish, 7 bullish, 3 bullish, and the score is clearly bullish. Yeah. So if you were to do like the lazy person's sort of
the lazy person, I would just hide. Yeah. I would hide all of this. I would just keep custom metrics, altcoin scores in the summary section. That's all I would add. And that hides. That's just this is more than enough.
It all accumulates into that. So that's really just showing the.
That's all you need.
The behind the scenes, the mechanics.
This is definitely the lazy person's like high level 30,000 feet view. I wonder if I should change this to be the default view, because this immediately tells you that on the 1 hour and the 1 prior hour we were bullish to very bullish. And then if you go to the settings and change it so it automatically dynamically changes to higher time frames, it'll go 1 hour, 4 hour, and 8 hour.
Because I think
that's to me is very helpful.
For a lot of people, they can still make whatever decision they're trying to make just using
or
the
1 hour,
simple bits, you know, just a quick check, you know.
You can see right now that the 1 hour and 2 hour are hotter and more bullish than the 4 hours. So things are starting to heat up again, right? And then you can see that in price action too. You can clearly see that we had a good correction, which we shorted, and then I went long at like 137, and then I just closed my long now, right? I closed it around like 141. So, but it's still, if I had held it now, it would be in less profit than when I closed it. So that's how I'm using it. Yeah, it's almost. So let me show you the global liquidity scorecard. So, because this is something Adam or Citi has been asking me for a long time. So basically, if you look at this on the daily view, this global liquidity scorecard is going to help you be able to know how much liquidity is being injected into the markets itself and how much liquidity is being absorbed by the US Fed / the central banks. And how you track that is using these metrics here. So short-term funding, this particular section here, let me make this bigger. You can see it more clearly. But this short-term funding allows you, let me change this. Okay. So this, or here, let's like this. So this overnight lending rate, you can see that it's lower than the moving average, but even more importantly, you can see that it's tight. So we've added this classifier here that summarizes it into a simple to understand term. You can see that the overnight lending rate is tight. You can see that the bank reserve rate is neutral to anchoring of where it was, and it's in line with its moving average. You could see that at the bottom here, let me remove one of these sections. Let me remove market prices. Then you could see the summary at the bottom. So you could see that liquidity is stable, funding is tight, and then if you look at monetary policies, they're still on average tightening. You can see that markets in general are neutral, but that Fed is adding some liquidity, right? You can see that the US Fed balance sheet, if you change this to weekly, you can see that that is increasing for the first time in 4 years, right? First time in 4 years that the US Fed balance sheet is finally increasing, which means that we're finally back to an expansionary mode. It doesn't mean that we're going to have quantitative easing, but it means that we're going to have balance sheet expansion, which usually precedes quantitative easing if everything goes according to plan. But that's not enough, obviously, for like a macro altcoin bull run, but it's enough for a mini altcoin run, which I believe is exactly what we're in the process of forming now. But that's what it's showing you. And then it's showing you that there's some cash returning to the markets, which is good because the reverse repo, right? The RRP, which is here, the money parked at Fed, is going down. So if the money parked at Fed drops, it means more money is shifting away from the Fed and towards the markets. So that means liquidity is increasing, which means risk tolerance is increasing, which is what you want, which is exactly why this is so helpful, right? And then you're seeing rates drop. So if you see rates drop, that means cash is much more affordable to access, much more available to small to larger enterprises and also to retail consumers and investors. So that makes it very attractive. These are very attractive liquidity conditions. So that's how I use the GLS. So at one glance, right? At one glance, I can literally go in and I could see that the monetary policies by country, I can see that the US money supply is neutral. I can see that the Japan money supply is easing. China money supply is easing, right? UK money supply is easing. But this is not giving me the full macroeconomic view. For the full macroeconomic view, you should use the macroeconomic risk scorecard. And to me, this is particularly helpful because this allows me to see, and I'll show you. Let's make it larger. Yeah. So this allows me to see the probability of, here, change it to monthly. Okay. So these are all of the 7 different recession risk models that we have in place. You can see them how they oscillate, but essentially when they go above like 40, then it becomes moderately more risky that we're going to experience a recession. It's like 60 and above, it's near guaranteed that we're going to experience a recession. Right now, we're still relatively low, right? And you can see that here. So our own statistical model and our own algorithm is saying that we're essentially at the 38 out of 100, which is not very, very low, but it's low, right? But if you use the Sahm Rule, right, which is like more of an established, peer-reviewed, well-respected method to forecast recession risks, that's already at 60. So this is usually like the earliest indication. Is you could look at the Sahm Rule and you can see that it's already at 60. So that increases the risk, right? Credit stress 10, leading indicators is 40, like GDP 2-quarter rule is 10 because we haven't had 2 consecutive quarters of having negative growth, right, or contraction. And so far, when we combine them all, it's low. But you can see how fast it rises. So if you go back to, let me change this to an asset that has longer history. You could see in 2020 where everything spiked, right, during COVID. You could see all of the models were forecasting a recession. Some of them were forecasting it right prior to the recession happening. So our own model the Blockcircle Labs model, you can see it started to spike a few months prior, right? And as February went in, it started increasing a lot, and then we finally had the recession. This red zone is the recession. So if you go back to the global financial crisis, you can see the same exact pattern. Do you see how all the models started increasing? They started rising prior to the recession actually materializing, which is again this red zone. So this is very, very helpful in being able to see whether or not we have a high risk or low risk of an imminent recession in the next 6 to 12 months. So that's the macroeconomic risk scorecard. That's how I'm using it. And more importantly, so we've made it a lot more useful when you want to look at it week by week. So if I'm looking at it week by week, and you can look at it here, I'll show you. See, there's this time frame column here, Connor, and everyone can see this. So this time frame column tells you how often this data is being updated by each section. So the real GDP is every 3 months. Gross domestic income is every 3 months. Total non-farm payroll jobs is every month. But we do have multiple weekly metrics. So like the Fed balance sheet is every week. The financial conditions index, this is a very, very helpful, useful short-term metric. It's being updated every week. The high yield spread, right? High yield spread is every day, right? And the euro dollars and the US Treasury bills spread, which is the TED spread, that's also updating every day. The corporate spread is every day. The volatility index is every day. So I've been using this every day to every week just to be able to get a quick read into what I'm doing. And I can visualize this in so many different ways. Like I don't have to be restricted to this. I can say, I want to look at the economic metrics instead of the recession model. And then so you just disable that, enable this, and then you'll see it. So that's how it's showing up now. And then pretty much, I mean, that's the macroeconomic risk scorecard. But the same thing with the global liquidity. If you don't want to see the short-term metrics, just double click it, go to the settings, and then disable these and enable the ones that you want to see. So if you want to see let's say we want to see US Fed balance sheet, net liquidity, and then the reverse repo, so how much money is being parked at the Fed, and then the general account, right? The government checking account, you can see it this way. You could look at this week by week, right? So you can see that liquidity has been rising steadily since December. Net liquidity, right? So that's 5.8 trillion. And so that's just, it's really powerful seeing this visually. And then the other thing is you can literally just overlay this on top of any chart. So if I want to add this to any chart, I can easily add this. So I'll give you an example. So if I want to put this up here and I want to overlay it on top of the actual price chart, I could do that just by clicking these little 3 dots and saying move to existing pane above. So then now it's a lot though. I mean, there's obviously there's a lot of data, but if I look at it this way, I can very quickly see a lot, right? But wait, this is not the one. Let me do the other one. The other one's better. Yeah, this. So let me overlay the global liquidity scorecard to this. Let me hide the volume. So now, and then if I remove the table, right? I can just disable the table and then just have the chart. So now I could see the performance of the S&P 500, so the 500 largest publicly traded corporations. And I could see the overlay of the US Fed balance sheet. I could see that it was literally declining for 2 straight years, right? 4 straight years, sorry, since 2022. And then now it's finally starting to rise for 3 consecutive weeks, hopefully going into our 4th consecutive week tomorrow. And then you can see the US net liquidity has also been rising for the first time in a long time. And the government checking account is rising. And the reverse repo is dropping, which is what we want, right? Because less money being parked in the reserve and more money in the markets. So you see how useful this is, right? And so this is how I'm using it. So hopefully this is answering everyone's questions. Going back to 2020, would you view the GLS signals to override signals from MRS given actions? Yeah, like this is exactly. Like if I'm going back to 2020, you can clearly see that look what happened during the last 2020 recession, right? That we had around COVID. You had this massive collapse in financial markets where we had like a 40% pullback. And then you see this massive explosion where $4 trillion entered the global monetary supply, right? The US monetary supply on its own, and then global monetary supply, it was over like 30 trillion that entered. And you can see that. So I can go and disable these and just enable global money supply. And you could see the massive explosion. Like it went from, let me add this as a, yeah. So it went from, now it's 104 trillion, okay? But back then, it went from 72 trillion all the way up to 95. So it's $20 trillion entered the global money supply, so the M2, right? Which includes the most powerful, influential countries in the world, right? The most commercially relevant and significantly financially, enriched countries in the world, right? So that's $20 trillion of money that's entering. I mean, that's what led to that massive bull market that we had. That's what led to the last altcoin season. And then look at where. So the monetary supply kept on rising, but the U.S. Fed kept on dropping, right? And that's not what you want to see. So you see. So once we finally stopped, then the U.S. Fed just continued to quantitatively tighten, and then which continued to just contract its balance sheet, which is not what you want when you want to be risk on. And now it's starting to top, right? So finally, we're seeing a little bit of a reversion here, which is good. That's a good thing. So, but yeah, I think that answers most of people's questions. What are the top? I answered this. Oh. What are the top 3 or 4 rows in the MMS? And then can you walk through the extreme zones and zero line? So when you look at the MMS, let me change this to new pane. So when you look at the MMS, this allows you to see the momentum across multiple time frames for this specific asset. So this is SPX, right? So again, the S&P 500. And you can see that things are getting elevated here. Like the momentum value is 106. So, and then the higher time frame, which is 1 week, which is 2 weeks here, is 98. Then the 1 month is 153. The 3 month is 128. So it's showing you that overall, it's very much in the bullish territory. But when you're looking at it across the 2 week, 1 week, 3 months, so forth, it's moving. The trend is mostly sideways. And you can see that it's mostly sideways. So it's better to look at it on smaller time frames. So like I look at it on daily, 8 hour, 4 hour, 1 hour, and you can see a lot more oscillation. It's better to do it with like more interesting assets like Solana. So look at it. Really, it's extremely accurate at catching momentum, and you could see that we've just been slowly declining here in terms of our upwards momentum. You can see that with the momentum scorecard, but you can also see that with the altcoin market scorecard as well. So yeah, that's it. So yeah, I mean, those are basically, those are our main, like, those are the main tools that we've been using. Is, we have our altcoin market scorecard, we have our global liquidity scorecard, we have our macroeconomic risk scorecard, we have our multi-time frame momentum scorecard, and then we have our Alpha Hunter suite, which is mostly focusing on crypto and on-chain new tokens that are listed on prominent exchanges, and new tokens that are being acquired by whales and by market movers that are potentially interesting. But that's more for like the micro scalpers and people who want to take on like max risk. But then we also have our main flagship product, which is like our our momentum trading engine. So, but yeah, that's let me share it. So our momentum trading engine is here, and this is like one of the best trading configurations that I've been using. This is configuration 19. So this is what you do. So you literally add it as an indicator. So you go in, you say invite only, and then you go and you add in momentum trading engine version 2 or version 3. Version 3 is by far the most powerful, but it's just an example of version 2. And then you see it's been so good. Like the only thing is it takes profit too early. But that's by design. So by design, I have it programmed this particular configuration to take profit at 1.25, right? But you can clearly also just enable a trailing stop loss. And in version 3, it's a lot more powerful, where you can turn on so much more. You can have a trailing stop loss using different methodologies as well. And then you could also have so many ways to invalidate trades. Like, I think that's the main benefit of it, is that you can be very sophisticated in terms of how you enter and how you exit. So like version 3, we've integrated the Altcoin market scorecard into it. And that allows you to say, I only want to go long when the AMS or the Altcoin market scorecard is 80 and above. And I only want to then go short when it's below 20 or when it's below 10 for two consecutive candles, or when it's below 5 for 2 of the last 5 candles. And 6 other conditions are met, then go short, right? Or then go long. So you can configure it however you want to configure it using the momentum trading engine. So like this, there's literally 6 main sections. So there's section 2, which is the altcoin market scorecard one, but then there's 5 flex indicators. And these flex indicators, literally all you need to do with them is you just enable it, and then you say, do you want to use it on a different asset? So no, we can just use it on Solana. And then if you want to use it, all you do is, do you want to use it on a different time frame? So if you don't, you just want to use it on the 1 day, which is what we have here, that's fine. And then you choose which indicator you want. So is it relative strength index? Is it a money flow index? Is it Scheichen money flow? Is it on balance volume? Is it the average true range? Is it the slow stochastic indicator, like an oscillator-based leading indicator? Whichever indicator or metric you want to use, you just enable it. So you just click momentum, for example, and then you can ignore all of these and just go down to momentum. And it's telling you, what do you want the commodity channel index period to be? What parameters do you want to configure the T3 to be? What do you want the momentum long operator to be? Do you want it to go long? Do you want it to go short, etc.? So, and then that enables the entry conditions. And then you could also set it to say, I only want it for entries, I only want it for exits, or I want it for both. So, and that's your entry conditions. And then you set it up for your exit conditions to either take profit or stop loss. But that is it. That's how you use it. And then it'll show you the actual trades, and it'll show you the performance of these trades, right? It'll show you the actual live, quantitatively, empirically backed performance of these trading strategies, so you can determine whether or not it's worth pursuing. So, all right, guys, I think we've answered all the questions. Connor, thank you so much, brother. Appreciate it. The boys just arrived. So, but yeah, if there's any questions, or if you we basically, if there are any questions, just hit me up. Yeah, I'm happy to help. And yeah, looking forward to it. I really would love to do this more regularly. So that would be my goal. So I want to try to do this on a more scheduled basis, and then start scheduling some webinars and different informational, hands-on workshops where everyone can actually get their hands on this. I think that would be very powerful. It would be very beneficial. So yeah. All right, guys, thank you so much.